What up, Dokkaners? With Legends being the first of the Dragon Ball games to drop officially the Beast Gohan, that begs the question, when will JP and Global Dokkan drop their Beast Gohan? Because based on the glow up that Legends has received with this unit, I cannot wait for Beast Gohan to descend upon the Dokkan side of things. So in this video, we're going to be basically speculating when this could be dropping and more reasons why I think it's going to be dropping sooner rather than later, and also being a joint celebration. I really think that based on this alone, I really feel like we're amping up towards a joint celebration with Global and JP, because I'm just thinking more from the other side. Like, there's no way that JP Dokkan, after both versions getting Gamma 1 and 2 or set to get them, there's no way they're gonna give Beast Gohan to the JP and then have Global wait 6 months. There's just no way they're gonna do that, especially given that Xenoverse is also kind of along the same timeline as Dokkan and Legends. It just really feels like everyone is culminating towards a simultaneous or similar time frame release for Beast Gohan. So anyway, let's talk about the Dokkan side. As you guys know, I got my trusty little timeline here. It's definitely not trusty, as it keeps changing by the second, but for right now, this is what we know, right? We got the Pan Dokkan Fest about to end later on tonight. We got part 2, which is the Rising Dragon Carnival banner, and then the Halloween banner for Gamma 1 and 2 will be dropping on Global a week after JP. JP is set to get Gamma 1 and 2 tonight, so Global will be receiving it next week, and so that means you guys have about a week to window shop. Now, I know a lot of you guys probably don't like that, and I agree. It is unfortunate that it has to be separated by a week, but on the flip side, I'm trying to be more positive here. Think about it this way. Normally, when JP receives a new unit, we Global players have to sit there and ogle at the new unit and then basically tell ourselves, okay, no more summons until I get my hands on that unit. Then a couple of months go by. We're now officially halfway to the destination of those units coming back, and now a new Dokkan Fest on JP has shown up, and now instantly you have forgotten about those older units. Now you're thinking, okay, you know what? I'm going to save for this one. Now, it doesn't happen all the time, but a lot of times it does happen, and that's very unfortunate. So if we can't get them at the same time, I honestly think a week off is really good, because now you get a whole week to see JP Dokkan in action with the units, and you get to see how they work against some of your contemporary units or some of the challenge events that are currently most impossible or most difficult for you, without the worry of the meta changing by the time you get them to where it's not even worth summoning. That's always the big balancing act with the 7-year, 6-year, 8-year anniversary, all the yearly anniversary characters. The biggest issue for Global players is having to wait half a year and then wondering, will they still remain viable by the time you get them, or will we have just reached the end cycle of their reliability for some of the marquee events, right? So I think that a week is very good, especially considering a new revelation that has been discovered with Gamma 1 and Gamma 2. And I think that this ties in with the Beast Gohan release. Now, before we jump into the Gamma 1 and 2 thing, let's just go over where I potentially think Beast Gohan could show up. My initial theory, and I think a lot of people had this, was that it was going to be an 8-year anniversary, right? And we already talked about this on a previous video, but I wanted to talk about it again because of Legends. So 8-year anniversary for JP means January 30th, which makes sense. It's close, relatively speaking. It's closer, I should say. But that does mean that Global Dokkan will be subjected to the eternal torment of having to wait 6 months before Beast Gohan shows up for us. I don't think that's going to be the case. Legends getting Beast Gohan, Xenoverse amping up to getting Beast Gohan, makes me feel like this is going to be a holiday affair, or at least a New Year's celebration. So my potential time slots now are going to be New Year's and Christmas time, the holiday season. I feel like out of the two, New Year's seems more believable, which is basically a month sooner than the 8-year anniversary, which doesn't bode well for JP. So maybe, honestly, the holiday season seems like a more reasonable guess, because that gives you about a month maybe between the Gamma 1 and 2 showing up, and then you got the heroes, and then you got the Dragon Ball heroes after, the superhero after that. So I think those are the best time slots for it. Let me know in the comments what your prediction is. There's no reason to think it's going to be joint. There's no reason to think it's going to be separate. So don't hold me accountable. This is all speculation. But let me know in the comments what you think the projected time slot could be for the Beast Gohan. I'm going to go with the Christmas time. Now, there's something that was discovered during the data download last night for JP Dokkan that also makes me feel like we're going to be getting Beast Gohan pretty soon. So with this Gamma 1 and 2 data dump, we got something very interesting in the files here. Shout out to Proton for the discovery. this little efficacy value, I think that's what this is, efficacy value 210. That number 210 is important because basically what that means is artificial life forms and special pose categories now do 210% more damage to Cell Max after the data download. Cell Max is still a monster, but this will make him significantly easier with those characters. What does that mean? It means that for those of you who have been struggling on this event, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Cell Max will still do Avengers level threat damage. He will still do cataclysmic damage and destroy your world in an instant if you get hit. But now you will be doing enhanced damage with characters who belong to that category. So for those of you who have been struggling over the past few months, now you have a chance to do something a little bit more productive with your teams, and you might actually be able to find some success. Some people might like this, some people might not. I, for one, am very happy with how they played this Cell Max event. They teased it to us months in advance, and that gave us a few months to basically experiment around with all the different characters that work, all the different characters that don't, and those in between. And it allowed some players who are very much hardcore to really enjoy and really envelop themselves in that experience, that challenging experience of beating an impossible fight. And for the casual players, they clearly were told, you know what, you're not meant to beat this yet, just wait until the new unit shows up. And this works as basically free advertising, right? The more you're exposed to an event that you can't beat, the more you start to maybe potentially get desperate, or the more you're thinking out of frustration, man, there's got to be something that I can do to beat this event. Nothing works. And then lo and behold, your saviors show up in the form of Gamma 1 and Gamma 2, and they're like, oh yeah, just summon us. We'll take care of it for you. Apparently, I was seeing on Twitter, people were saying like, you can 2-turn, 3-turn Cell Max with Gamma 1 and 2. These guys are taking like double-digit damage on certain instances, and they're also doing like 56 million damage total on any given turn or something crazy like that. So with Gamma 1 and 2 leading the charge and doing that much damage, Cell Max instantly becomes way less of a threat than he was before. And so some people don't necessarily like that because it kind of just once again reinforces the whole archetype where if you throw money at the problem, you do anything and it's very easy, and then Dokkan gets boring again. But the thing is, with how much time they gave you to experiment, I like how they did it. If you don't want the event to be easier, don't use those units, don't use those categories. But what I like about that is that the special pose and the artificial life forms category now breeds new life into characters that you wouldn't have otherwise thought could actually function here. Ginyu Force is the main one that I'm thinking about. Shout out to Minato's Flash. I'm actually going to recommend his video. I'm going to post that in the pinned comment. Go check it out. You will see that the Ginyu Force are actually doing some pretty decent damage. Granted, you could still lose, but like AGL Dokkan Festival Ginyu did nice damage. Free-to-play units on the Ginyu Force now have a chance to not get vaporized and actually do some respectable damage against Cell Max. So this is definitely a good thing for the game. I think slowly opening up with newer categories able to beat it, that does make it better, I think. I'm not upset by that whatsoever. Also, Cell Max has been given new missions. So initially, when people saw this, we were thinking, okay, so this is clearly meant for the whales. Normal players are not going to be getting this. Clear the stage within 8 turns. Clear the stage without using a support item. This is now very much doable with this new revelation that they can do more damage. This reminds me of the old Dokkan event archetype. The older Dokkan events, like, for example, the Broly event back in the day, if you had the Blazing Battle Link, you would disable Rampage and thus make him less of a nightmare to fight. So it's kind of like that. I would imagine they'll probably advertise this as some sort of thing in their actual event details. Again, the banner's not out yet for JP. They will probably get some sort of an update maybe when the banner drops. I don't know exactly what's going on JP, but they should probably have something there where they tell you that, because there's no way this is going to be a secret. It doesn't make sense. Like with the missions being right there, it obviously suggests that they have to be a little bit more powerful. So with that being said, now how does this come back to Gohan Beast, right? You're probably wondering, why did I just ramble about this? The reason I'm rambling is because if Cell Max has now suddenly become quote unquote a joke, then there has to be a second stage. There has to be another Cell Max that emerges where the cycle repeats itself. Okay, Gamma 1 and 2 were able to do some pretty decent damage and hold their own against this Cell Max. What about the next Cell Max? What about the one that Gohan Beast has to step up and defeat? So maybe we'll get a new stage that has a whole new set of powers and a new set of circumstances that even the Gammas can't defeat, and that serves as a preview, a teaser, an advertisement for the eventual Beast Gohan. Maybe it won't be the same time frame that we have to wait for the Beast Gohan to show up, but regardless, there has to be something, because there's no way Beast Gohan is going to be the most busted unit in the entire game. There's no question about it. Beast Gohan was going to be that insanely hype and that insanely powerful that Cell Max has to match Beast Gohan in terms of both hype and power. And whatever that is, I'm expecting it to be stage 2. This is not the end of the Cell Max event. I predict that there will be more, and I think that it will be happening sooner rather than later, aka the holiday season or New Year's. So there you have it, folks. I think you're going to be seeing some pretty spectacular banners and celebrations happening at the end of the year. Good luck to all of you saving your stones. With this whole special pose buff, some of you might even argue that Gamma 1 and 2 might not necessarily be needed for you, because while they are good and while they are very, very strong, do you really need them if Cell Max can now be beat with the Ginyu Force? Little food for thought for those of you who might want to be saving up for the eventual release of Beast Gohan. Anyway, that's it. I'm done rambling. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like down below. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on this new revelation, special pose, and artificial life forms, androids, all these types of characters now doing 210% more damage on Cell Max. Do you like that Cell Max is now becoming easier? Does this make you want to summon for Gamma more or less? Or do you think you're going to want to be waiting to see if we get any sort of inkling at sort of a release of a Beast Gohan sometime soon? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, be sure to subscribe for more Dokkan content in the future and click the notification bell so that you'll let you know when to see more of my stuff. Do it. Thanks again. Stay tuned and remember to Dokkan responsibly.